Welcome to Lunchtime Lessons. I'm Emily, and today we are doing Storytime for Adults. March is Women's History Month. I believe that last week was just International Women's Day, so I wanted to stay on that theme and celebrate women's accomplishments in history. And I could think of no better author to feature today than Lori Walmark. So I became aware of Lori Walmark a few years ago, maybe 2018 or 2019, when this book, Grace Hopper, Queen of Computer Code, was featured on, I believe, the Blue Stem list. The Blue Stem is like what I call like a Kids' Choice Awards. If you have kids like that go to one of the public schools in the district, you might be familiar with either the Monarch or the Blue Stem Award. So basically, this was nominated for an award and featured pretty heavily. So I actually got to meet Lori Walmark through that, and got to hear all about her life as an author. She's really awesome, and she writes mostly picture book biographies, and not just picture book biographies, but all picture book biographies about women, mostly in STEM. So Grace Hopper is one of them, Hedy Lamarr, the Hollywood legend, and also Spy. What? And then we have Sophie Kowalski, a mathematician. And then we have Judith Polgar, a queen of chess. This is a relatively new one. And the one I was going to read today for us is Lori's newest picture book biography called Her Eyes on the Stars, Maria Mitchell, Astronomer. So this is by Lori Walmark, one of my favorite authors, and illustrated by Liz Wong. So here we go. Her Eyes on the Stars, Maria Mitchell, Astronomer. Night after night, Maria and her father climbed the stairs to her magical world, their rooftop observatory. On moonless nights, she loved sweeping the heavens with their telescopes. Who knew what she'd see? Stars and planets, of course. Maybe a shooting star, or even a comet. In 1831, when Maria was 12, she and her father observed a solar eclipse when the moon crossed in front of the sun. The sky grew darker and songbirds fell silent. Their surroundings grew unnaturally still. The moon cast a shadow that passed over their small island of Nantucket, but this was no ordinary eclipse. It was a rare annular eclipse where the moon was too far from the earth to completely block the sun. At totality, people in the right place would see the sun peeking around the edges of the moon and glow like a ring of fire. Maria desperately wanted to see that once-in-a-lifetime sight, but Nantucket was not in the path of totality. Before the eclipse reached its peak, the sun and the moon sank below the horizon. All she saw was a partial eclipse. Maria was determined to see so much more. Kind of cool since we have an eclipse coming up soon. But she didn't want to just see objects in the sky. She wanted to understand them. As her father had taught her, Maria used sky charts and a chronometer, an extremely accurate timepiece, to make and record astronomical measurements. When she was only 13, while her father was away, a whaling ship captain asked for her help. He wanted her to use her knowledge of astronomical tools to determine how accurate his maritime chronometer was. To do this, Maria would need to take astronomical measurements and use math to give him the answer. Sailors used these timepieces for celestial navigation, to steer by the stars. The captain needed to know exactly how slow or fast his chronometer ran. That way, he could make the proper correction to the time and determine his ship's accurate position. If he didn't, a ship might get lost at sea or even run aground. This was Maria's first time checking a precision instrument by herself. Lives depended on her making sure the chronometer worked accurately. She had to get it right. And she did. Not only did the captain pay her, but Maria was on the path to becoming a professional astronomer. One October evening in 1847, Maria joined her parents at a dinner party they were hosting. She soon grew bored because no one was talking about astronomy. Eager to get back to her beloved night sky, Maria sneaked out to the rooftop. Through the telescope, Maria saw a fuzzy white blur in an unexpected place. No matter how she adjusted her lens, she couldn't bring it into focus. Could it be? Had she found a comet? To prove this, Maria had to confirm that the object moved through the night sky. Maybe it was only a nebula, a far-off cloud of gas and dust that had already been discovered. She frowned. Maria had to find out. Through her telescope, she spent hours measuring the cotton ball's distance to other astronomical objects. Had it moved? Maria sighed and laid down her notebook. She couldn't tell. Not enough time had passed. The next day, Maria could hardly wait until nightfall. Would her little piece of fuzz still be there? Would it be in the same place? She quickly found her cotton ball in the sky. Carefully, she measured its exact location. Her observations showed that the object had shifted positions slightly. She checked her measurements over and over again. It had moved. At age 29, Maria became the first American to discover a comet. She ran to share the exciting news with her parents. Maria spent many hours calculating the orbit of what she called her Comet of the 10th month, now known as Comet Mitchell 184715. The King of Denmark had established a prize for the first person to discover a new telescopic comet, one invisible to the naked eye. To claim the award for Maria, her father wrote a letter to the director of Harvard University Observatory. He included all of Maria's observations and calculations. Because of the bad weather, several days passed before his letter could leave Nantucket Island. The contest rules required that the comet finding be reported to the British Astronomer Royal, but Maria and her father didn't know this. Would she lose the prize because they hadn't sent their letter to the right person? Within days of Maria's sightings, 3 European astronomers also saw the comet. Each of them sent a letter to the Astronomer Royal, thinking that they had seen it first. Would one of them win the prize? Although Maria's information arrived later than theirs, news of Miss Mitchell's comet quickly spread throughout Europe. Newspapers called her the Lady Astronomer. Since Maria's notes proved that she had made the earliest observation of the comet, astronomers around the world declared she deserved the honor of being named its discoverer. The Danish king agreed, and he awarded her the gold medal and prize money. Two years later, Maria finally got a job as a professional astronomer. The United States Naval Observatory hired her to compute the daily position of Venus for its nautical almanac, one of the top jobs available for an astronomer. Published yearly, the almanac gave the accurate location of many stars and planets for each of the days of the coming year. Navigators needed this information to use celestial navigation. Even a tiny mistake in her computations might cause a ship to go astray and be shipwrecked. These calculations were as important as fixing a maritime chronometer had been, but on a much bigger, more complicated scale. To calculate Venus's locations, Maria had to consider many factors: the sun's motion, the Earth's daily rotation, the Earth's revolution around the sun, and the elliptical orbit of Venus itself. These all changed from day to day. The work was challenging, but she loved it. She received $300, equal to about $10,000 today, for each annual volume of the Nautical Almanac. Maria was proud to be one of the few paid astronomers of their time. She was the first professional woman astronomer in America and one of the first women employed professionally by the government in any kind of job. For 19 years, Maria calculated the daily position of Venus for the almanac. In 1865, the founders of a new women's school, Vassar College, offered Maria a job as a professor of astronomy, one of their first faculty members. She accepted, becoming the first female astronomy professor in the world. Maria knew she was training the next generation of women astronomers, and she was determined there would be a next generation. She told her classes, "We are women working together." In 1906, 3 of her former female students were good enough to be included in the first list of academic men of science. This was a major achievement for all women of science. In 1885, Maria witnessed her last eclipse. Because Vassar was not in the path of totality of this rare annular eclipse, she missed the ring of fire once again. Instead, she saw another powerful ring, a ring of women. I love that. Surrounded by her students, Maria watched as the moon slowly but surely crept across the sun's surface. Increasing darkness and silence surrounded her and her team. 54 years after she and her father had first witnessed an eclipse together, Maria now shared this eclipse with a new generation of astronomers, young women aiming for the stars. And that is the end. There's a pretty good glossary in the back, very helpful information there. You can check out Her Eyes on the Stars and all of Lori Walmark's other books about women in STEM at the Deerfield Public Library after this stream. They will be available. All right, so I wanted to tell you now about one of my favorite books that came out, I believe, last year, 2022, at the end of 2022. This one is called A Seed in the Sun by Ada Salazar, and I really like this one a lot. It is a book about a girl named Lula Viramontes, and she works on a farm. She works on a farm harvesting grapes. It is 1965, I believe. So she and her family are migrant workers. So they all work on a farm. She has a few sisters that unfortunately her dad has decided her and her sisters can no longer go to school because they are needed to help with the harvest. And so they are going to have to stop going to school, and that just crushes Lula. She really likes school, but she has to listen to her dad. Her papa's got a bit of a temper, and she's actually the most worried though about her mom. Her mom is starting to sort of get really sick, and they're pretty sure that it probably has something to do with the pesticides that they're using on the harvest, on the plantation. And so They are she's kind of having a hard time with that and trying to figure out, how she can use her voice. She finds her voice to be very raspy, but she wants to sort of figure out how she can use her voice to help her mom specifically. And all of a sudden hope appears in the form of these labor right activists. She meets Dolores Huerta, Larry Itilon, and Cesar Chavez, and she sort of inadvertently gets involved in the 1960s labor right movement. So I'm pretty sure that this is like the only middle grade book about like the labor rights movement. There's a lot on the civil rights movement right around this time, but this is one of the only books I can think of that takes place in this, and it makes history so like graspable. That's one of the reasons that I really like historical fiction for this middle grade audience. And if any of you are familiar with Ada Salazar, she's written a few other books. All of her books are in verse, so that means that they are poetry. It's sort of free verse poetry, so it doesn't rhyme or anything like that. And Ada Salazar has really proven herself as a very good writer of verse. I found her verse to be extremely beautiful. It's really dynamic. She plays with structure a lot. She has amazing similes and metaphors all throughout. So you really can't go wrong with any of her books, honestly. But I really, really enjoyed this one. If you're looking for a good middle grade historical fiction book, A Seed in the Sun by Ada Salazar is the way to go. It's really good. Last, I have a picture book, and it is sort of like a nonfiction-ish picture book, but it is a fictional telling of Mary, Mary Edwards Walker. So I'll read the book and then I'll read the author's note on the back because it's not too long. So this is called Mary Wears What She Wants by Keith Negley. Boy clothes and girl clothes. Mary wears what she wants. Once upon a time, but not too long ago, girls weren't allowed to wear pants. Can you imagine? I'm wearing pants right now. I can't. The only thing girls could wear were uncomfortable dresses, heavy and hot and hard to breathe in dresses, tied too tight, can't bend over dresses. Trying to get her cannons. It's the way things have always been, and the way things will always be, they said, and no one thought it should be any different. Actually, that last part is not entirely true. Mary thought it should be different, and she had an idea. A very daring idea. A great idea. Mary liked it so much, she went on into town to show everyone. It was kind of a big deal. I looked a little upset. Not everyone liked it. You're gonna regret wearing pants, Mary Walker, they all said. No, I won't, Mary said back. But she kind of did. Mary didn't understand why everyone cared so much about what she wore. They've never seen a girl wearing pants before, said her father. Sometimes people get scared of what they don't understand. So I should go back to wearing dresses? Asked Mary. I didn't say that, said her dad. That night, Mary didn't get a wink of sleep. Her pants and her dress there. The next morning, Mary decided she didn't like being told what to wear. Pants were just plain better in all sorts of ways. As she left for school, she discovered she could even walk faster in pants, which Mary really appreciated. Oh no. But when Mary got to school, it was more of the same. She started to worry this was how things were going to be from now on. "I'd like to go to school, please," said Mary. "But you're wearing boys' clothes," they all said. "I'm not wearing boys' clothes," said Mary. "I'm wearing my clothes. Now, if you'll excuse me, please, I'm late for school." Showed them. And with that, she pushed through the doors and went inside, prepared for even more of the same. Except it wasn't all the same. It was never the same again. Look at all her friends. All of them in pants. And that's the end. There they all are in pants. A few friends still wearing their skirts if they want. All about the choice, right? And there she is, Mary growing up. And I'm going to read this author's note because it's pretty short. Mary Edwards Walker was born in 1832, Oswego, New York. She developed a keen sense of independence and a zeal for justice early on in her life that was far ahead of her time. She was one of the first women known to wear pants, which must have been a shocking notion. As she grew older, she was arrested repeatedly for it, for which she said in her defense, "I don't wear men's clothes, I wear my own clothes." She went on to graduate from medical school in 1855, at a time when many people said women shouldn't. She volunteered with the Union Army in 1861 and was a surgeon in the Civil War, even though many people believed women couldn't. She often worked behind enemy lines and was eventually captured by the Confederates. They demanded that she wear a dress, but no matter how hard they tried, she wouldn't. In 1865, Mary Walker was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration that can be given. She was very proud and wore it every day, and as of the time this book was written, she is the only woman to have received it. Mary spent the rest of her life writing, lecturing, and fighting for women's right to vote and to wear what they want. Mary continued to wear what she wanted and cause a stir until her death in 1919 at the age of 87. We can thank Mary Walker, the teacher, surgeon, war hero, writer, and activist, for challenging the social norms of her day and paving the way for us so that we can all enjoy the right to wear what we want. And that is Mary Wears What She Wants. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in to Lunchtime Listens, Storytime for Adults. If you missed anything or you want to re-listen to anything, the recording will be made available on our YouTube channel, at the Deerfield Public Library's YouTube channel on Thursday. You can check out any of these books from us if you're interested, and tune in next week, and Anne and Christina will be back to your regular Lunchtime Listens programming, and I'll be back at some point next month probably for another Storytime for Adults. Until then, have a good one. Thanks for listening.